This happens more often than I want it. We are getting close to the end of the semester and I can feel myself becoming unhinged. So I wanted to take a short distraction break to search the internet to see what the internet thinks professors do. So let's look for some good professor memes. Tell me again about that really important paper you need to finish for another class and why you need an extension on my paper. I actually get this kind of request and I'm often very baffled by it, but it was actually a senior colleague who told me about low-hanging fruit. And when it comes to classroom assignments, if students feel that your assignments are easier than others, then they will actually take the time and have the audacity to ask you for an extension as opposed to the extension that they actually need from another professor because they feel like they can do your assignment in less time and they actually need more time for the harder assignment. Do I feel good when students say that my assignments are not a priority for them? Absolutely not, but it certainly is something that I get and I often have to process what it means and I often give them the extension. If you didn't get the grade you wanted, it's highly possible I didn't get the work I wanted. Oh, it's so true. I'm never sure how to accommodate students when students don't do the work well but still want the A. I tell them that I don't grade according to how I enjoy them or their effort. I grade according to the rubric. So if they did not follow the rubric, then they already know. They should already know that they're not going to get the A. All you have to do is follow the rubric. That's all you have to do. Y'all got any more of them extra credit opportunities? I've had students email me after the final grades are submitted and ask for extra credit. And I don't think they realize that once they see their grade, that is their final grade because they hadn't been paying attention to the release of their grades for the full semester. So all of a sudden they're seeing their grades potentially for the first time and are thinking that they now have an opportunity to ask for extra credit. I actually assign extra credit opportunities all throughout the semester, and there is always a student or two who don't do them anytime during the semester, but then send me an email after they see their final grade asking for extra credit. It again, baffled. Professor, the test won't be that difficult. Me, to you. But it's not that difficult, right? I mean, if you study and if you pay attention, I actually don't give tests in my classrooms as for a wide range of reasons, but my students do have to turn in weekly writing assignments. And I often think to myself, if I turn those weekly writing assignments into a larger exam, would my students feel that the exam was too hard just because they're seeing and being asked to process a lot of information versus what happens that the weekly assignments, obviously they are allowed to have their books and articles available to them doing those assignments. And so I don't have this experience, but I certainly felt this as a student. But now that I'm on the other side, it's just it's just so hard because I relate, but I also just feel like if you studied, if you went to office hours, if you got into a study group, if you ask questions in class, then maybe you won't feel as if the test is that hard. Professor, attendance isn't mandatory. Me. I actually require attendance in my class, and in my evaluations, students often frown upon my desire to have them be in class and engaged with the materials and their peers, which I feel like is unfortunate. I want to hear from them. I want them to be there. I want them to feel engaged. And the best way I feel like I can do that is actually requiring that attendance is mandatory. I love a good Friends reference. When professors assign their own articles as readings, I have twice assigned my own work in my classes, but I realize it doesn't work because students don't want to talk about your work in front of you. So on the days that I have assigned my work, I get very little feedback or very little discussion from the students, and it actually hurts my heart because I think that they didn't enjoy it. But the reality is that they don't want to set a bad impression about the work, and so they just choose not to engage. And so I find that it's actually best not to share my work or assign my work in any of my classes. Me, can you please round my grade up to an A? Teacher, you have a 55% in the class. Well, I'm going through a little bit of a rough patch. I actually don't feel good about failing students. It's not an easy thing to do as I'm going through all of my grades and seeing all of the work that the students have done, especially for students who have shown up and have done the work, but unfortunately don't have the skill set to pass the class, as well as for the students who never show up, who have never done the work and also fail. Even though obviously they could not commit to the work, it still feels very overwhelming for me to see that final failed grade when I'm putting in the final grades into their transcripts. Emailing professors like, polite greeting, multiple paragraphs, perfect grammar, professor, short, sent from iPhone, or in my case, Android.
Why y'all keep on saying the iPhone better than Android? It's just as good, and it has the same amount of quality.
I felt the same way when I was a PhD student, and I would take so much time crafting my emails because I wanted to be respectful to my professors. I must admit, I as a professor do take time when it comes to certain emails, but because we're bombarded with so many emails from the college, from the university, from the department, from our chairs, from students, it requires us to take less and less time with certain emails. So yes, there have been times when I will reply with 1 or 2 words simply because I'm trying to get through all of my emails. I hope that you enjoyed this little distraction break. I am actually going to get back to grading. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.